How did my business land on the name Wild Roots Animal Wellness? Here's my story, and if you're here, I want to thank you for listening. A little bit about me to start. My name is Allegra Jacobs. I've been working with animals for over 20 years. A few, but not all of them, are listed right here on this screen. I'm a certified North American veterinary community pet nutrition coach, and I also have certifications in acute canine herbalism, raw dog food, and commercial pet food specializations from the Dogs Naturally team. Wild Roots was launched in 2023 under a different name, but we rebranded in 2025. Our mission, however, has always stayed the same. It's to help overwhelmed pet parents make the best choices for their animal's lifestyle. If you're reading this today and listening along, my hope for you is to encourage you to look at whatever pet you have, analyze how your lives intertwine, and determine what parts of your life have the strongest influence on them, especially their nutrition. I'd love you to recognize that the pet food industry has a massive influence on the lives of our animals. And I'd also really love if you could appreciate the impact of stepping away from human convenience and acknowledging your pet's body signals. By personally getting over the hurdle of the pet food industry, I was able to step away from what human convenience has on my personal dog and do what his body was telling me he needed. So the desire to save animals, help animals, and watch animals flourish through this career started for me in this journey with my dog Phoenix. Phoenix is a middle-aged German Shepherd. He's a working dog, a medical alert, response, and mobility service animal, and he absolutely loves what he does, but you can tell in these pictures he's not super happy. He's surviving, not thriving. He was happiest out working with me and fulfilling his purpose as a working breed dog, so I did not feel it was necessary to leave him home, but you can see throughout all of these pictures he's missing hair, he's got discharge from his eyes, he just looks very uncomfortable. And we decided to visit some vets, obviously, when this came up, look at these issues with his skin and histamine response. And just to show you before I continue that I am actually someone who has gone through this journey and not somebody who's just preaching, these are our after results. So this is what Phoenix looks like today, and he's definitely thriving more than he was in the previous pictures. But nevertheless, we went to the vet when we noticed in the beginning that he was having all these problems. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you have a dog with allergies or a cat with allergies, allergies are rampant nowadays with animals. And the only thing the vet suggested to us was some prescription medications. There are two big ones on the market that I'm not going to name, but they were the ones that we were suggested. One of them works with the body's kinases, which is cell communication, and it prevents allergic reactions. And the other one introduces synthetic monoclonal antibodies to strengthen the immune system. So I went home with this information and I did some more research on it, and I felt that doing this was not the right choice for my dog Phoenix because we hadn't tried any other routes of changing his diet first. So we'd waited 8 months to see a dermatologic specialist and see if she had any more ideas for us there. But we didn't really have any luck there either. We were disappointed to leave the specialist with only a prescription shampoo and a recommendation for a new kibble that was made of hydrolyzed soy protein, which breaks down meat protein into a size that the body can process more easily without a reaction. And this bummed me out a lot. I was hoping that by waiting all this time to go to a specialist, I'd be able to get answers as to what my dog was allergic to. And that just didn't happen for us. And I am sure that if you're listening to this, you've gone through something similar as well. And I truly do understand and feel your pain on that. So all of this advice I was getting from vets at this moment in time just didn't sit well with me. And I felt people were looking way too hard at our situation here because clearly my dog was just allergic to something, but we didn't know what. So it was then a friend asked if we had ever considered raw feeding. And the premise was not unheard of for me, but I knew nothing about it, and I knew I had a long way to go in terms of learning. And the idea of feeding my dog a limited ingredient diet, but nutritionally balanced as well, in order to figure out if it was bothering his system, seemed like a much better, more practical answer for us than giving him hydrolyzed soy protein, pills, shots, and medicated shampoos. And I was much more inclined to try this. So we did it. We gave it a whirl. And it turns out the answer was simple. Phoenix was allergic to beef. He's been bovine free in all parts of his life now for over 2 years, and the results are hard to miss. It was that simple. It was beef. Was it convenient to feed my dog limited ingredient raw? No. I have to place special orders with the company. I gotta lug the food from the co-op 20 minutes away to our chest freezer. He has his own deep freezer in my house now. 50 pounds of frozen food at a time. I feed him on a gram scale now. I gotta fully measure out everything. It's not just as easy as a scoop in a bag anymore. I gotta calculate how to defrost and prep things in a way that'll make the food ready for him to eat at dinner time, but not too long, because then it'll go bad, and that's happened to us as well. And I've been doing this for over 2 years now with him, and multiple nights a week I still am exhausted, and I wish that feeding him was as easy as just scoop of kibble in the bag to scoop of kibble in the bowl. But I went from finding out that beef was our problem to where I am now, which is a complete gut microbiome and nutritional overhaul-based healing specialist. And I realized throughout that process that that's where a lot of people get lost, is they want the convenience of feeding the dog. They want to just scoop A to B and call it a night. So here's where the pet food industry enters this conversation. Packaged dog food originated in the 1860s in Victorian England. James Spratt, an American businessman, observed dogs eating discarded hardtack. Hardtack was a biscuit, a cracker. And from this, he developed packaged dog biscuits to sell to kennels. Tried to monetize it. So by the turn of the century, Ralston Purina, who we all know today, got on the bandwagon of selling dog chow. And as cars began to take the place of horses on our streets, the use of horses was no longer a question mark. What do we do with all these horses now anymore? But it became recycling options. So horse meat began to go into canned dog food. So what am I saying here? From day one, from its creation, dog food was never designed with the nutritional needs of the dog in mind. Yes, there were foods marketed to help with a variety of ailments and problems, and people were advertising for dog-specific reasons, but the original biscuit was a way of monetizing old bread. And the boom in canned dog food was a way to recycle horses no longer fit for work. So where did our priorities lie here in helping our canine friends? Was it in their best interest, or was it in what was easiest for us to do as humans and what we could make a quick buck off of? But before I even knew any of this, I knew the second we started feeding raw that kibble was not the right answer for my dog. Nothing in a dry cracker or pellet would fuel his body correctly to help heal him. But this doesn't mean that swapping to raw was anything less than a daunting task for us. And the words of the world echoed around me every single day. He could get sick from it. He could wind up being nutritionally deficient if I home cooked for him and forgot something. People say it hasn't been proven to work any better than kibble. And so on and so on. And these voices do still haunt me often. And I worry if I'm doing the right thing for my dog, but the pictures I showed you of his before and after are proof enough that I am doing the right thing, and it is working for him. I've done a lot of research over these past few years as well, reading and genuine learning. And lots of people say that feeding raw is pointless because dogs are not wolves, and what we need to feed them is a modern canine diet, not an ancestral diet. And they're right. The dog is not the wolf. However, their GI tracts are almost identical. The genotype, which is the genetic makeup of the domestic dog, is actually only a 0.2% difference from the wolf. The coyote is about 4.0% difference in genotype, if you want a comparison. So if the contrast between a dog and a wolf is less than 0.5%, are you really going to tell me that all of that evolution, the entire difference between the dog and the wolf, is just in what they eat? So this was my glimmer of realization in this whole journey with me and Phoenix. What's rewilding? Rewilding is a very cool term that I came across, and it very much resonated with me very deeply. And Merriam-Webster's official definition of it is an effort to increase biodiversity and restore the natural processes of an ecosystem that typically involves reducing or ceasing human activity and often the planned reintroduction of a plant or animal species, and especially a keystone species. So ceasing human actuation and restoring the natural processes is my key point of intrigue here. And as my dog continued to eat raw, not only did his hair grow back and his complexion looked better, but other changes started to appear as well. His energy level grew to endless. I hadn't realized how sluggish he was when he was eating kibble. He gained 10 pounds of pure muscle. His body stopped making some very interesting noises all day long, and his breath got better, and his teeth had no plaque on them. The ear infections and eye infections stopped, and his coat grew very shiny, and his nails grew much stronger. He was as close to as possible aging in reverse. All because I stepped back and took human convenience out of his life. What would be easy for me to do is put 1 scoop of kibble in the bowl twice a day. Get a bag of it from the store once a month. But that's not what's good for my dog. And some people may argue that since dogs have evolved from an ancestral canine state, feeding foods designed around modern research is what's best for them. So I know lots of dogs, and I'm sure you do today as well, that are living with uncomfortable allergies, and they're surviving on prescription kibbles formulated by veterinary professionals. I would actually take a gander that a lot of your dogs are even on them at this very moment. And the majority of those foods contain hydrolyzed protein and formulations backed by scientific research to help the body process foods they react to better. So the results in a nutshell are the same. I've seen dogs that have been on these diets and had very comparable answers to their problems as Phoenix did. And these foods have been peer reviewed. They've been professionally formulated by board certified individuals, and they're tested in clinical trials. So why don't I like them? The hesitancy for me in giving Phoenix one of these diets that the vets recommended was the same thing it always is when I look at the composition of a dog food. It's the ingredients. These foods are primarily composed of potatoes, plant-based proteins, and synthetic vitamins. And I just couldn't see how excessive carbohydrates that were balanced to meet canine nutritional needs would help fuel my dog's body to heal. In fact, the guaranteed analysis puts carb contents at 56% for a can of wet food. More than half of the meal in that bowl is starch. How is that nutrition for an animal? For any living being? Is anything designed by nature able to survive off of that? Sure. But how about thriving, healing? And I couldn't help but think of the way the pet food started all those years ago and what it was composed of. Raw feeding does not come without risks. And I'll never sit here and say that doing it is risk-free. You have to be prepared to encounter and smother bacterial, parasitic, or viral infection risks. Dogs that are raw-fed are prone to less gut flora than the kibble-fed dog. And you have to know how much of each nutrient is going into the plate you're building for your dog. I have an example being unbalanced calcium to phosphorus ratios can harm your dog's bone density, especially if they're a growing puppy. Some people worry about bone shards or nails from prey ripping into your dog's stomach, so I cut nails off of rabbit feet and chicken feet for this very reason. And I'm sure all of you are fully aware of dilated cardiomyopathy and all those buzzwords and things that are meant to instill fear in us about feeding grain-free diets and how your dog can just drop dead of heart problems with no symptoms whatsoever. And that's definitely a concern as well if you're home cooking for your dog, making sure that that's not going to happen as well. And this is information that I stare in the face every single day, but I don't let it intimidate me. Because there are also a lot of benefits to feeding raw as well, and these are scientifically proven benefits done through research by veterinary journals. Raw is the closest possible thing to natural nutrition that we can get these days for our pets. It's highly digestible. The dog or the cat have an extremely well-functioning immune system that can fight off anything in their paths. Knock wood, Phoenix has never gotten sick from anything. And the data collected when a test group swapped from kibble to raw had almost identical results to my dog. So I can't seem to think that something that has done us so good would have an endgame of something so bad. Humans are the only mammals, or arguably the only animals on planet Earth, who cook our food. So are wolves, foxes, coyotes, and everything in between dropping dead from eating raw prey every night? Do we really have to be that scared of it? And before I even knew any of this, I mean, I digress. These thoughts that keep my mind whirling all day. And I never did think that when I adopted my dog in 2021 that I'd become a holistic pet care coach and a nutrition consultant today. But based on what I've learned, it's now my turn to help people who are going through the same thing I went through. So, like I said when we started, I'm not here to convince anyone to feed raw. That's not why I'm here at all. I don't encourage my clients to feed raw unless they bring the idea and the desire to me. But there are plenty of options we can do to make nutrition a more important part of your dog's life. And the time and age now of the pet food industry is eons better than it used to be. And there's so many wonderful options easily accessible at our fingertips now that are clean, great ingredients for your dog to actually fuel not only getting rid of symptoms, but healing their body. Food is healing. So what I'd like you to do today, if you can, is just draw back the curtain on the relationship you have with your pet. What part of your adventure with your pet is infringing on their nature-made right to exist as an animal? Because it's easier for you to change it. Maybe it's something other than nutrition. And is it something that I could possibly help you with there as well? Would things be better for your pet if you took a step back and you let them live as they were intended to? I hope that if you do decide to take a step back and take a look, you can find a glimmer of hope for the relationship between you, not only you and your animal, but the future of the human-animal bond. It is a bond that I deeply cherish every single day. Every animal that comes across my path, I marvel at their trust in me to be able to handle them. An animal that does not speak the same language as them, to be able to know that I am going to love and take care of them and not steer them wrong, not hurt them. Tiny little animals every day that crawl into my hand, all the way up to giant horses that let me ride on their backs. Every single day with these animals is a blessing. And I want to make sure that the bond we share with them is only going to get stronger as years go on. We owe them that. We absolutely owe them that. They take such good care of us. We need to take good care of them as well. Thank you very much for listening to this. I hope you enjoyed it. And feel free to reach out to me anytime if you would like to discuss what's going on with your animal. wildrootsanimal.net. Thank you.